Well, it's a good thing I have the hat. Then that way I don't have to have a personality. You can just be like, who's that guy? The one with the hat. Oh, yeah. Welcome to Real Person Reviews. I'm Sam, and I'm a real person. And today I want to talk to you about Mega Man X2 for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Not to be confused with Mega Man Extreme 2 for the Game Boy Color, even though the names are similar. So, you see this? Forget you saw it. I guess the things up front to mention are just that I'm playing it on the Mega Man X Legacy Collection on PC, and that's probably where you're going to see the footage from. I'm also assuming, I guess, that you know about Mega Man X already, either from seeing my review before or more likely just actually playing Mega Man X, because it's a fairly popular game. It was kind of a hit. So I'm not going to re-explain too much stuff for that, I guess. That's mostly all I had for preface, I think, other than there's a written review you can check out in the description. I think that might be it. I found out that I can use a timer on my phone, so I don't have to write down times, because this doesn't have a timer on my camera. You don't care about that part, but I thought I'd throw it in, because I'm a real person. And even that's debatable. So Mega Man X2 follows the events of Mega Man X. And essentially, X is still going around trying to clear the world out of the remaining Mavericks. While he's trying to do that, he's met with some resistance from this group called Maverick Hunters. X Hunters, because they're hunting X. What a slip. They're called the X Hunters, and they're trying to slow X down. They're kind of ominously watching at first until he takes out a few boss Mavericks, and then they decide, okay, well, we need to slow him down. We'll challenge him. And they say, we've got Zero's parts. If you want to ever see him again, you'll have to fight us. And then they show up on the map, and they're there to try and stop X for some reason. And we're not really told what this mysterious plot is. We are just to assume that it's probably bad, because they're supposedly the bad guys. It's a Mega Man plot for you. So the gameplay is pretty similar. Control's almost the exact same, with your running and shooting and jumping and dashing. Same stuff. Except you can actually dash right away now without needing an upgrade to do so. Unlike the first game. You go and you can select from these different levels to fight the different bosses that are just animals mixed with some kind of element in robotic form. That's essentially every boss again. And you beat them, and then you get their weapon, and their weapon is used to fight off another boss as their weakness. The Wheel of Weaknesses. That whole thing is still a thing. And you still have to go through stages, and finding some secret stuff. Like, there's still sub-tanks, there's still heart tanks to extend your health. And there are still upgrades. The differences to your armor upgrades now, though, is that I believe every upgrade gives you, little something, where, the leg upgrade now allows you to do an air dash. So if you didn't do a dash jump, you can actually dash in mid-air a short distance as well. With the head upgrade, it gives you this ability to search for secrets nearby, and I'll kind of point out if there's any secret on the screen near you. Then the body upgrade gives you this thing called Giga Crush, where you, after taking so much damage, you can unleash the Giga Crush ability, and it will This is like a full screen attack that usually clears out most enemies, and it can do a little bit of damage to bosses. And then the arm upgrade is about the same, where you just can charge up your shots and do double charges, and charge up your special weapons, that kind of thing. So that's a little different, a little new, but a lot of that is also the same. And the thing with the X-Hunters is that you beat a few bosses and then the X-Hunters show up. And every time you exit a stage, whether it be from completing a stage or losing the stage or just going in and exiting, they'll shuffle their position to whatever stages remain where you haven't beat the boss yet. And so on each of these levels, there is a secret room for you to get to in order to find them and then have a fight with them. And they're essentially just like bosses. And after you beat one, you get a 0 part. So there are 3 of them to defeat. If you go to a level and you try to fight one, or basically even just a level where one exists, and you don't beat them, but you beat the level, they disappear, and you can't get the 0 part, so you lock yourself out of that completion bonus, which just changes the ending. A little bit, anyways. I'm not going to get into spoiler stuff with what changes and whatever, but there are just a few minor things that are different, depending on if you get all the parts or not. And then there's the thing of so basically they only show up on certain stages until you go through all those, and they can disappear, and you can lock yourself out of those. Once you beat all the stages, you go into a final set of stages, and then you have rematches, or if you didn't fight them the first time, matches with the X-Hunters, where you get actually unique new boss fights, and then the usual fight you might expect with an overall final boss. You kind of figure out what the plot is. You'll probably guess a lot of what the plot will be, based on how the series isn't really known for having great plot things happen, but I still won't spoil it just in case you've got some doubt. And generally in the end, just an overall feeling in the end, which I know is weird to say, but I don't think it's really that much of a spoiler for events that happen. It's just essentially that it's X contemplating the ideas of will there ever be a time where will I ever achieve peace? Like, if the time comes where I can do something that will ensure that, will I be able to do what it takes? Will I be able to pay the high cost the high price it will cost to achieve that? Something that it's put a little better in the way it's worded in the game. So that's why you'd want to see it, and that's why it's not that much of a spoiler for me to say it here. But that's mostly the game. Pretty predictable stuff there, and I like a lot of it. It's got some cool music. The art is still awesome. The controls are pretty much the same, so that's good. It's all new bosses and the same tight controls you're used to already. And the boss fights with the hunters are interesting because it's with the boss fights for the main bosses, they're actually kind of interesting because they use some some cool moves and whatnot, and with their patterns, it's I feel like there's almost phases of the fight for some of them, where it's especially for example, Morph Moth is for the first part of the fight, it's in a cocoon of junk, and you're fighting that form, and once you get it to half health, it then comes out of the cocoon and flies up and it morphs into a moth, and you fight it, and it's it's a totally different fight there for the last half of it. And other bosses have kind of little phases like that. Once you get their health down, they'll start doing some other move they'll throw in there. So I think that was really interesting. But that's what also helps the X-Hunters, because all of them seem to fight pretty much the same throughout their main fights, in the stages at least. And so when you fight them there, it's it's kind of nice to have a boss where it's these are the things they do, and they do it the whole time. The more simplistic kind of boss fight, but they're also much harder because they either do lots of damage, or they're tricky to dodge, or they are really fast. So they're interesting fights to keep in there, and it just adds in a little bit more content to keep things interesting. And also there was some interesting stage mechanics too. because that's kind of like the theming of this, where it's like a lot of it. It's like it's a lot of the same kind of stuff. It's building on the same things, but they're trying to do interesting little twists on it to make it just more interesting than it was before. Where before it was a lot more basic in the first game, and so there's some cool stage mechanics going on that are like have some cool effects and some interesting like things you wouldn't necessarily expect from like it's not something you would see in a basic stage design. So like for example. In I believe it's Magna Centipede stage. There's this part where this section where all the like platforms are like falling into place in front of you, and you kind of have to like wait it out while the stage sort of forms itself so you can get through, because those things will hurt you if they land on you. But at the same time, you're also avoiding this roaming crosshair that like will target you and scan you, and then it's like the more times it does that, then the mini boss you fight in the next section is more powerful. Based on how many times it scans you. I guess like it's supposed to be getting data on you by doing that or something, but it's interesting. I thought it was a really interesting little mechanic. Throw in there. It's like again, it gives these stages a bit more of an identity rather than just being basic. Like here's like different like looking enemies and different looking backgrounds, but more or less the same thing. So it does a lot of fun stuff with that. I think for downsides, I don't have too many, though I do think it's a little annoying that you can lock yourself out of some of the progress with the hunters. I think, like if you don't know how they function, you'd have to, hopefully, I guess it's good that you mostly run on passwords without having a save system, though I think a save file may have been a good idea by this point, but, if you didn't know, you don't have your old passwords to go back, you kind of have to start the whole game over if you fuck up one of the boss encounters. You're like, I'll just beat the stage and I'll fight the boss later, and then they're gone, and then you can't get the good ending. And then some of the secrets were a little annoying. Like, some of them were in places where like, I could see how I maybe could get there, but it's so hard and finicky with the hitboxes on things that normally if I tried it a number of times and kept failing, I would think, okay, I guess I can't get that yet. And the only reason I knew how to get them was because I looked them up. And then on the other end of things, there was like there's that, and also some things were just so hidden that I wouldn't know. Like I think the worst case was like. For one of them, you have to like use wheel gator's like wheel and like shoot it at a floor that doesn't look suspicious at all. You just have to know that that's the floor you have to shoot it at, and it starts breaking it. I don't know why you would just happen to be using it there, what would make you think to use it there or what, and it's frustrating that's a thing. That's annoying to me. So there's that, and so little things like that are a little frustrating. It can be tough. Maybe they could have ironed a couple of those things out a little better, I guess. Overall, though, Mega Man X2 is just really good. I mean, like the it's one of those things where I guess maybe the worst thing you can say about it is that it's more of the same. But at the same time, who gives a shit? Like. Because to me, like, that's like the thing. It's like Mega Man X already happened, and if you already played that, this isn't going to be like amazingly different. But if you liked the other Mega Man series, it's kind of the same thing. It's like it's more of the same Mega Man stuff, but it's got new bosses and new stages and new stuff, and it's enough new stuff to keep you doing the fun thing you like doing without just playing the first game again. I didn't get the feeling that I was like it was different enough and interesting enough that I didn't feel like. Oh, I should just play Mega Man X again instead. I still felt like this was a worthy experience to have, and that was cool, and I liked that. So I think if you like Mega Man X, this is a natural progression to go to next, to the next one. Yeah, I don't know, it's good. It's hard for me to try. Do I have to sell you on this? Like, again, it's another Mega Man X game. It's like a lot like the first one, and you probably like the first one, so why wouldn't you just want another one? I don't know. Also, this is giving me a chance to hold this up because I don't have the game physically. It's on that collection. That's also a digital collection. But I saw the Mega Man X collection booklet, so here's the beautiful grayscale display in the booklet for you. That's, it was for PlayStation 2. Wonderful, wonderful display. Well, the lighting in here sucks right now anyway, because that's way too bright and this is way too dark, and It's a good thing I don't know how to shoot videos, or people might watch. But I don't know. Maybe I'll get lucky and I'll get like X2 twice as many views, 2 times the views I did on the first MegamanX review. So, you know, it's almost funnier that it's not a joke when I say that would be 2 views. It's been up for months and it's got 1 view. Which is also why I assume you probably know about MegamanX, because only 1 person saw that review. And to that 1 person, thanks. And thanks in advance for both of you who showed up for this one. And now you have to. Otherwise, I look like an asshole, and I don't want to do that. I want to just look like a real person. But real people can be assholes, so I guess it's okay. I should maybe think about what I want to say for the ending and starting, and more than just the middle of the video. But you know what? Here's what I have to say about that.